Good afternoon, everyone. Happy Thursday. My name's Maria. Welcome to my channel. I thought I would just do a little bit of crocheting today and share a really easy pattern. A little bit of it. I've already started into my row, so normally I would start right from where I'm at, but I'm going to explain it. And you can use a solid color, or you can use as many colors as you want in as many rows and successions as you want. I'm using blue. Let's see if I can get this in my camera. I'm using blue, chocolate brown, this is Dusty Blue, Vienna's Choice, chocolate brown, or maybe that's coffee brown, I can't remember. Super Saver, I lost the band on it. Buff, Super Saver, buff, charcoal, and white, Super Saver. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to go 3, 4, 3, then 7, then 12, and then mirror the other side of it. So because I have 5 colors I'm working with, excuse the wire here, I'm wearing the camera on my head. One of these days I'm going to figure out how to crochet and knit online so that you guys could see what I'm doing and not in the whole room and everything else. Alright, but until then, this is what we got going on. And again, you can use whatever color you want, but this is how it looks in the front. So it looks like it's got this post. It's a little texturized, and it's really nice for anybody, but I think it makes a cool man afghan. So I was working on it for my son and got it totally done under the tree for Christmas, but then he wasn't able to make it home for Christmas, so I decided to take it apart and make it a little bigger. Why not, right? I had yarn left. I thought, let me make it a little bigger. And honestly, after the couple weeks I've had, my nervous system is screaming at me for a little tactile, repetitive, calm, stimulating creation with my hands. And so I am going to talk about the news a little bit. If the news triggers you, or what's been in the news lately, or politics or anything, I'm truly sorry. I'm telling you to back away right now because I am going to discuss it a little bit. So I'm using a 5.0 hook, and that is an H hook. I'm using Lion brand, here's the ball band, Vienna's Choice Lion brand, Dusty Blue. And I like to maybe sub in maybe a higher end yarn with my economical Super Saver yarns, because this one particularly donates, gives some money to St. Jude's Hospital. So I like that. And see, they give a portion to St. Jude's Children's Hospital. So you can mix and match as long as your weights are the same. These are all 4 medium worsted weight yarns. No animals are used in the process. I don't work with animal yarn. So I've got, like I said, charcoal gray, white, I think it's chocolate or coffee brown, and buff. And basically the only stitches you need to know for this pattern is a double crochet, how to work your front post and your back post, and how to do a treble crochet, and how to crochet 3 together. That's it. How to chain, slip stitch, and that's it. Fasten off. So I'm going to tell you the beginning. Basically, it's a 4-row pattern, and the first 2 rows are the setup foundation, which I can't share with you because it's Mama's Stichary project pattern, and it is called Shells and Posts Ripple Blanket, which works up kind of like a chevron ripple, which is really nice. You don't need to do a border around this, but you can do a single crochet around it. I'm going to do a white single crochet around the whole thing just to make it pop a little bit. You will have ends to fasten in at the end. So it starts with 2 rows of setup, and then after that you're just repeating row 3 and 4. So you're always going to turn and chain 3, and that chain 3 is always going to count as a double crochet. And then you're going to do 2 double crochets into the very next crochet, and then you're going to do 5 double crochets into each of the next 5 double crochets. So you got your 2 here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you're going to do 3 double crochets together over the next 3 stitches right on top of each other there. Then you're going to skip 2, you're going to come around and do a treble back post double crochet, a treble back post crochet. So that's like a triple. And then you will have created in the first 2 rows a chain 2 space where you're going to do 2 double crochet, chain 2, do 2 double crochet. You're going to skip the next 2 stitches and go around your back post if you're on row 4, which I'm on. And you'll be working a treble around that back post, then doing 3 double crochet together over the next 3 stitches, then doing your 5 stitches, then you're going to be doing 3 double crochet in 1 stitch, and those kind of follow down all the way on top of each other, and then you're back to your post again. So I am to the point where I'm going to do 3 double crochet into the middle stitch. The pattern will say do 3 double crochet into the next double crochet. What I found was really helpful for me anyways is reading the comments in every pattern, because even though Mama Tucker and Mama Stichary project with her patterns, these are all originals from her designs, will explain everything to you. If you're asking the questions, somebody will come along in comments and say, oh, I found after you do the first one, it works out to be the middle one. So if I was to do all 3 of them here, if I had started it that way, it would have worked out fine, but I started with the middle after reading all the comments. So I'm just keeping with the middle stitch. You can do the first stitch. So I'm just doing 3 double crochet, and then they're right on top of each other. Okay. Then I'm going to do 5 double crochet using the next stitch that I have there. And this is a really easy, fun pattern to do because you don't have to keep looking at the pattern. You can just read your work and keep going. So it's yarn over, go into your stitch, the top of your stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I've got 1 more to do. And now I'm going to do 3 together, and I've had to create like a little bit of fudging here because I missed a stitch. So you're going to do 3 together over the next 3 stitches. So yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2. Don't complete it. Yarn over, go into the next stitch, which is right there. And I kind of separate it to find the stitch. And pull through 2. You should have 4, and you can see that's right there. You should have 4 loops that you're going to pull through, and that will keep them all on top of each other. And this decrease that you're doing, where you do the 3 doubles together, is what's creating your shape of going up and down like a wave. And you're going to wrap around twice for a treble crochet. And the back posts, even though in the front they're here, you can see them, to do a back post treble, you're going to work around, you're going to kind of have to hold on to your yarn, like wrap around, and stick your finger there and go around the back. Pull that yarn through. I'll try that again. If I try to slow down too much, I usually can't do it. Let me do that again. And pull your yarn through. And now you will be wrapping around and going through 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That helps to grow the blanket. and it's a treble. So now you wrap around, and if you did row 1 and 2, you're going to have created a chain 2 space with 2 shells. So we're going to go into the chain 2 space and do 2 double crochet, chain 2, and do 2 double crochets. And I'll tell you what I've found is when everything's getting crazy on the news, or you're getting anxious, maybe you're surrounded by a lot of toxic craziness and unrest and holidays, it helps to just decompress and bring your nervous system back by working with your hands and your brain. And for me at work, that's organizing. I love organizing. And so I get to do recovery at work. And then at home, this just relaxes me. So again, to do a double crochet, you're going to yarn over, go into the middle stitch. Your pattern will say the next stitch. I moved mine over because I read the comments first. And even though it kind of messed with my chain count for those 3 double crochets together, I made a stitch and it worked, as long as you're keeping everything even. So then you go to your 1 of your 5, and I'm going to go ahead and link the pattern, and Mama Tucker said we can share her patterns as long as we put the linkage out, and you can sell. And she encourages charity crocheting and knitting. What I love about her website is her patterns are written very old school, like when you get a crochet magazine. And if you just remember to read comma to comma and then note where the period is and where the asterisks are and the parentheses, you'll be fine with any of her patterns. Because with crochet, it's written different than knitting. So again, you're going to wrap around twice, go around that back post, and you can lose your, you just got to keep your finger on. I just find with some of the crochet I'm doing, I do like double trebles, and I'm wrapping around forever with lace work. So I get used to it, but it's a good hand workout, especially if you have inflammatory, especially autoimmune, arthritis, and your hands get flaming, or your the type of work I'm doing now, when I'm on the register, I'm doing a lot of bagging, I'm doing a lot of scanning, I'm picking up stuff a lot. Then when I'm doing recovery, my hands hurt when I get home because I'm picking up so much stuff. So this is kind of like relaxing. And gets them back in shape. That's all you're doing. And then on the front, you can see you're just carrying the colors through. Another tip that Mama Tucker gives is when you want to change color in a pattern, excuse my wire here, you're going to not pull through the last 2 loops if you're working double crochets, and add your new color in. And then you kind of like lock it in and bury it, almost like when you're doing Fair Isle or color work, you can kind of keep it on top and bury it in. Okay, so I can see here I'm coming up on a 3 double together, and because I fudged 1 row, I've got to keep going into 1 double crochet that's a little bit close to have that extra one. So I say pay attention to your edge stitches, that you're really doing what you should do when you're in the edge stitch, not going crooked. So you can see the 3 are there, and then the 4, and here. So I need 3 stitches to bring 3 together. So 1, and then I'm going below it here. And then you can see that other little stitch right there is what I'm using. Normally you would have, wait a minute, do that again. Normally you would have 3 stitches on top, but because you're going into 3 that are together, you got to kind of like pull and look for that stitch. So to bring them together, you want 4 loops on your hook and bring it all the way through. And then we're up to another post here, but it's kind of peekaboo-ish, hiding behind here, so it takes a little bit of dexterity to get behind. The front ones are much easier to do. Alright, so 1, 2, 3. And we're right back to yarn over, 2 double crochets, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Chain 2, go right back into that chain 2 spot, 2 more. And you're just repeating row 3 and 4 of the pattern I'm going to link to. That's all you're doing. Pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Treble is done. Hey Dustin, come on in here. My cat. He hears the baby downstairs crying. So I can see I'm on top of the 3 here. You kind of can just read your work as you go. Really, after you get done with the second row of this pattern, you're all set. You're just repeating row 3. No, I'd say after the 4 rows, you're just repeating row 3 and 4 over and over again. And because I love her patterns, I did a lace blanket for my daughter and son-in-law for their wedding. And I'm telling you, the pattern was just beautiful. The directions were really nice. But I love that she has different sizes all listed. Like if you want to do a lapghan for maybe a hospice or a nursing home and someone's in a wheelchair, she's going to give you the correct measurements so that they don't get caught in the wheels. Maybe you want to do a preemie baby blanket, even a micro. She's got micro preemies. You've got that, even though micro preemies really can't have that kind of material on them when they're in the hospital. When they get home, they're still going to need tiny blankets. And then she does encourage people to share her patterns for her chemo caps. And I like that she's aware of the sensitivity, like adaptable clothing and tactile stimuli when she's making these. What I wanted to say is if you have any tactile issues where materials bother you or scratchy or texture, this won't. Like, if you're laying down, this is going to go over you and it's completely flat on this side and smooth. And this would be the side you would kind of show off, right? But if you got twisted up in it or decided to turn it around, this lays perfectly flat. It doesn't stick out like a cord even after you wash it. It doesn't bother the body. So that's good. So I know more and more, there's more people I'm meeting that are, textures bother them, tags bother them, waistbands bother them, certain materials. I really don't have that problem with this pattern. It's nice and soft and cozy. All right. So you're just going to do your 5 again. Well, actually, I'm going to use... So here's what's really going on. When I see, because I don't want you to be confused when you get to the pattern. When I see I've got 3 double crochet together, 3 DC DOG. Excuse me 1 second. Let me answer that. Okay, I'm back. Nope, that was Emma from Med Health Center. If you answer one call, you're going to get 1,000,000 of them for Medicare. The minute you get, I think the minute you turn 59. I'm going to be 67 in May, and it's all day, all night. 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. First thing in the morning. It's crazy. They just try to sell you a plan. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm actually using this stitch here, which I missed on the 4th row. So I've had one stitch over too far that I've been having to use when I'm coming up on 3 double crochet together. So that means I'm short 1 stitch when I'm doing my 3 double crochet together. So try to ignore what I did. I have fudged to make it better. So 1, and then go into your stitch here, 2, and then your next stitch right here, 3, you got 4. The important thing is that they all line up in the same spot, and they are. That way you can keep your shape going. So if you go 1 stitch over, just keep staying with the stitch you're going. I'll never forget when my dad was alive, coming up on his anniversary of his passing, February 21st, and 2023. One day I was talking to him on the phone, and I was telling him how I was knitting a blanket for my daughter and son-in-law, and it was getting close to their marriage time, and I wanted that to be their gift. And I was like, geez, I'm trying to make this, and I just have to keep ripping it out because I'm making a mistake. I don't know what I'm doing. He was like, Maria, I've seen your crochet and your knitting. You do really good. He said, so whatever you did, just go back and do that again. I said, what do you mean? He said, just follow what you did the previous row, and it will shape. It'll work. And you know what? I asked him, I said, have you ever done anything like this? He said, no. He said, but it's common sense, Maria. If you did a stitch one way on one row, you're going to keep going in that direction, and nobody will know you made a mistake. Like, okay. He was right. 3. Okay, 4, 5. So I do want to talk about the tragedy in Minniapolis, where Rene Nichole Good, a mother and wife, was killed. And all I want to say about this right now is there are 3 conflicting stories. One story is that she was a known agitator, and that she was a leftist, and that she was radicalized and left her husband, got divorced, and married a woman, and became a legal observer and was known to protest. Okay. The next story is that she was impeding officers. She was all the way along the route where they were yesterday, getting in their way and trying to block them. And the other story is that no, she had just dropped off her 6-year-old child with her wife in the car with her, or what they're calling her husband or her wife or whatever. And she was just trying to get home. And some of the ICE people were actually targeting her. Like she was waving them on. You can see in the video she was waving them on. Was she partially obstructing the road? Yes. But she was waving on plenty of cars that went by her just fine because it's a very wide road. So it was partially. It wasn't blocked. It was partially. But what Kristi Noem, Department of Homeland Security Secretary, came out with right away is she had been trying to run them over earlier in the day. Well, the route she took to bring her child to school that morning, they were there. The route she took to come back, they were there. Why is her car stopped there? I don't know. But what I do know is that something don't make sense with the whole story. And our eyes are not lying to us. So I won't listen to J.D. Vance, Kristi Noem, or anyone else that thinks they're going to come up with a story. The most important thing they've said so far, well, first of all, her family that knows her is saying no. She never went to protest. She was a Christian woman who just took care of her kids. She was a mother. She was just trying to get her kids to school. And that she wasn't involved in any activism or anything. Okay, so what it sounded like J.D. Vance just said today is, well, her actions caused her to get shot. But then what I keep hearing is that this seasoned ICE officer had a history of being dragged by a car, rammed into and dragged by a car 50 feet. And he had to be hospitalized. Wait a minute, let me get around that. Hang on one second. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I need to go here first. Clearly, a lot of people right away said, well, that's the problem with these ICE officers is they're recruits and they're not trained to be in the public and deal with aggression like this. Well, that's really not true. Maybe the recruits, but this man was a seasoned ICE officer who had to, tear a baby out of mother's arms and be around a lot of people, and he's been doing this for years. But he had a history of being dragged by a car 50 feet, and then he had to have 36 stitches in his leg. So I'm thinking the trauma of being rammed into and dragged by a car 50 feet, stitches, didn't stop him from walking right up to the car way too close, didn't need to be there. And then he has some kind of trigger response, and he should have never been there. He should have never been in a situation where what they're now saying is, cars can be weaponized and used as a weapon, are considered a weapon. So he should not have been out there. If he had a trauma history of being dragged 50 feet by a car, 36 stitches, and J.D. Vance is saying, you think maybe he was a little sensitive? Yeah, I think he was. But he shouldn't have been there. So now they got to start looking at the people they're putting out there, recruiters or seasoned, the training they're getting, whatever, National Guard or ICE officers. They need to make a judgment call. Are these people okay to be out there? Are they okay? What's in their history? Were they ever attacked, dragged by a car, assaulted, whatever? Because that is what they're now going to say, is that he had a post-trauma reaction, and it's tragic, but she should have followed orders. There's so many conflicting things. I think the thing that breaks my heart the most is to hear people on the right and MAGA, extreme MAGA, right-wing conservative Christian MAGA, Heritage Foundation MAGA, saying, well, she was radicalized. and left her husband and then married a woman and then became an agitator in protests. So, in other words, she morally, it was justified to kill her because she morally, look what she did. That doesn't even belong in the conversation, what her lifestyle was. Okay? What her husband is saying is she never got involved in any protest, march, nothing. She just went to church, raised her kid. That was it. Very lovely woman. Okay, so then there's conflicting reports. Was the officer telling her to get out of her car? What directions? Was the officer telling her to move her car? Because people are saying there were several different orders being shouted at her by several different officers surrounding her car, 2 on each side. Why was the officer laying over the hood of her car? Why couldn't they have just, if she was somebody that was an antagonizer, stopping an operation, and she had been, hurting them or trying to ram into them, why couldn't they have shot out, done something less lethal, shot out her tires, like maybe 1 or 2 tires to slow her down? Or set up a barricade, like sent some of the other ICE officers that weren't stuck in the snow up to the other end of the street so that she got blocked off. And then just demanded she get out of the car. Okay, it sounds like conflicting everywhere. Conflicting reports everywhere. Get in the car, don't get in the car, stay in the car, put your hands up, whatever, don't move, get out of the way. I would have done exactly what she did. And it looks like she totally cleared and did not hit the officer. If she did, it really looks like he stepped into that himself. Like what the heck was he doing so close to the car? Even policemen don't come up, lay their body on the hood, go to open a door that's closed. So now the feds are saying that Minnesota cannot be part of the investigation. Why? Why are the feds saying that Minnesota officials cannot be part of this investigation of this murder? So it just doesn't make sense to me. It's very sad. It's horrible. And I needed to get a break from it all and just sit and crochet. I'm glad I'm going back to work tomorrow. I'm glad I have today off because I needed it. But I'm glad I'm going back to work tomorrow where I won't hear about all this. It's pretty awful. And so unnecessary. Again, I'm going to stand on that particular officer did not belong to be there. Especially if he had a history of being rammed and then dragged by a car. You gonna tell me he didn't have a post-trigger response? He did. He did. And if they knew that was in his history, they should have just not had him be there. So, yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that. What else is in the news? Nick Reiner's very expensive rich lawyer dropped him. Some people are saying they dropped him as a client because there was cabuttal over how much money it was going to cost. They're not saying why. That situation I have stuff to say about, but I will withhold what I have to say until further notice. I just highly doubt that suddenly they diagnosed him schizophrenic, and no. It's very disingenuous to say that this man has been in 15 rehabs from the age of 15. been to therapy his whole life, but nobody knew he was schizophrenic. Like, nobody. And then he was seeing a doctor that cost, in a facility that cost $70,000 a year. No. Okay, what else is in the news? So you're going to, when you get to the end, you're always going to change, well, you're going to turn. Whatever color you want to use. Now, I think I am to my 7. Am I to my 7? No. Let me see. What am I to? Yeah, I think I might be. I want this to make sense to all matchy. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so I'm going to add my next color in, which is going to be white. I'm going to open a band here without ripping it. I like to save my ball bands, just in case. I don't like to pull from the middle. I like to pull this way. Okay, so because I'm going to change the color, I'm going to stop here and have my last, at the end, you're going to do 3, I don't know if I just said that, you're going to do 3 double crochets into the last stitch at the end. At the end of every row, you're going to do 3 double crochets into the last top of the stitch. And that would have been your chain 3 from the previous row. So the way Mama Tucker says, and it's been working for me, to add the new color, is on your last 2 that you're going to pull through, working a double crochet, pull 3 in a new color, and leave enough tail to weave it in. So I'm going to leave a little there, and and turn. We'll see how this works, right? There. And now I'm turning. And I'm going to be working the front post crochets all the way along. So now I'm going to chain my 3 here. That's 1, 2, 3. Looks good. Let's see how the blue looks. I always distrust this adding a new color. So what I'm going to do is I'm pulling on the blue, and it's pretty snug. I'm not going to cut it. Well, I am going to cut it, but not now. It's kind of in my way right now. Alright. I'm just going to go over the top of the blue a little bit. I'm going to bring that blue over. Drop the tail of the white. And do 2 double crochets right in the next one right there. But I'm going around a little bit of the tail of the blue. So I'm going to lock it in. Or bury it. Okay, so it's in there. Let's see if I can bring that blue to the next one. I mean, you don't have to do a lot of it, but I want to kind of get it gone. So then I start my 5 double crochet. So just like Fair Isle or color shape work, you're just going to keep your yarn right against and go around it and work your new color. So it's buried in there, you can't see it, and now I could pretty much cut this and it will be fine. I just gotta find my scissors. They're somewhere on my, actually they're my cat claw. I've been doing this for years. I mean, they're just handier. Just use my cat's clipper claws. All right. So I've got my 2 here and my 3. I'm still going to go around a little bit of this blue. I apologize for not being able to see this very well. One day I promise I will get a tripod, the right kind of chair, camera and lighting, because that's really what I'm working on, is to be able to just stay home and knit and crochet. I don't want to be out there in the crazy world anymore. It's crazy. I was considering, I'm still considering going for a management job where I work, like to manage the store. I would have to leave the store I'm at and go get trained at another store. And I really feel like I would have to go to a couple stores. I really feel like it's something I can do and want to do in my retirement. But then there are days I just want to stay home and knit and crochet. And there are days I really enjoy being out in the public and organizing and displaying stuff really nice and seeing people. And so kind of betwixt and between what I want to do. But I am going to make a decision by February, well, by the end of January, whether to start a knitting and crochet studio for real, just do it part-time, or I make little things, or just commission to make big heirloom blankets, because that's my thing, is heirloom stuff, or what. So this is basically the pattern, and you're just repeating row 3 and 4. And because I'm mirroring the other end of the blanket, I'm going to do 12 rows of white. And now we're working the front post. The front post is much easier to work. You're just coming around the front right there, pulling your yarn through, pulling through 2, pulling through 2, pulling through 2. It is the same thing all the way along to the end. Do your 3 double crochet at the last chain, top of that chain, turn and just keep going. You'll be working the back of these. And you should be able to just read your work very easy, see what you're doing. Like you should see, like, okay, you're doing your chain 2 and your 2 double crochets here. You got your posts. You're coming along here. You're doing your 3 in the middle stitch if you did like me, or over here in your first stitch, and then you're skipping 2 stitches, you're doing your post, then you're skipping 2 stitches again, you're doing your 2, your chain, your 2, your post, your 2, your chain, your 2 again, and then you should be coming up, you're just doing the same thing. And then you'll see on the other side of it, you're coming up to a 3 double crochet here together. And that should keep giving you your, although I'm not seeing much of the curve anymore that I have on the other end, so, wonder what's happening with that. I'm going to have to look at it. I might have to not go into that one stitch, because I'm not getting as much chevronish look as I want on this end. I mean, it's still chevron, but not as much as the other end. So that is the entire pattern. It's really long. It's really long enough. I should stop now. So keep yourself healthy. Don't watch too much news. Don't doom scroll. Although I have gone down the rabbit hole with Charlie Kirk and the assassination of Charlie Kirk. And I don't mind saying that I don't believe any of the story we're being given, because it don't make sense. And with me, you got to make it make sense, or I'm just not going to believe it. So that's where I'm at. Hope you're all having a great day. And I hope you enjoy this pattern, which is so easy. And I'm going to list the linkage And I thank Mama Tucker at Mama's Stichary Project for making such beautiful patterns available to us. Be sure if you use it, you mention her pattern. This one's called Shells and Post Ripple Blanket. Have a nice day, everyone. Take care. Thanks for joining me, and I hope you're all having a beautiful new year. Bye-bye.